Beginning a conversation from the heart. There are moments when, clouded by misunderstanding or unawareness, we believe that we alone suffer. We imagine that our children are unaffected by our pain. But the truth is, when we suffer, they suffer too. We live in every cell of our children, and their joys, their struggles, their insights are deeply connected to our own. So let us return to a wisdom we once knew, the truth we felt so clearly during pregnancy, that the child and the parent are one. Let us begin again. Let us open a new conversation with our sons and daughters. It's possible we've made mistakes. Over the years, we may have caused illness in our own body, our stomach or heart burdened by stress, poor habits, unspoken sorrow. And just as we must take responsibility for our physical health, we must also take responsibility for our relationships with our children. We cannot turn away. Instead, we might come to our child and say, with honesty and tenderness, "My dear child, I know you've suffered. I have suffered too. And when you are in pain, how could I ever be truly happy? I've come to realize that both of us are hurting. What can we do? Perhaps we can sit down together and try to find a way forward. I long to communicate again, but I cannot do it alone. I need your help." When words like these come from a place of love and insight, something begins to shift. Because such words carry the fragrance of true understanding, an understanding that parent and child are not two separate selves. Your happiness is not yours alone, nor is your suffering. Your child is your continuation, and their being, just as it is intimately shaped by yours. Mindful living invites us to reconnect, to speak and listen from the heart. We might say, "My beloved child, I know you are also me. You are my continuation, and when you suffer, there's no way I can find peace. Let's heal together. Please help me." And if the child is practicing mindfulness, they too may speak from that deep place of awareness. "Father, I know you're hurting. And if you hurt, how can I be truly happy?" When both sides recognize that there's no such thing as a separate self, communication is restored. This is true for couples too. Husband and wife are not two. They have made a vow to journey through joy and difficulty together. When one says to the other, "I need your support to begin anew," that is not a failure. It is a continuation of the vow made long ago. Each of us holds the capacity to speak this way. Each of us has the power to listen this deeply. A box of love letters. There was once a woman in France who kept a special box filled with old love letters from her husband. These were the tender letters he had written to her before they were married. Beautiful words filled with warmth and longing. She cherished them deeply and stored them in an old biscuit tin. One morning, while tidying a drawer, she stumbled upon that box again. It had been many years. The letters brought her back to a time when both of them were young, deeply in love, convinced they could not live without each other. But in recent years, things had changed. The home had grown cold. They no longer spoke much. They no longer reached for each other. Her husband had just left again for a business trip. He often did. She suspected it wasn't just for work. Perhaps he needed space, some trace of joy. When he told her he had to go to New York for meetings, she simply replied, "Go if you need to." It was easier that way. Even when he called a few days later to say he'd be staying longer, she agreed without hesitation. Whether he was home or not, she no longer felt any happiness. After the phone call, she returned to cleaning, and there it was, the familiar tin box. It had once held Alou biscuits, a famous brand in France. She paused, set her broom aside, and opened the lid. A gentle, familiar fragrance rose up to greet her. She pulled out one letter, then another, and standing there, she began to read, line after line of gentle affection and understanding. Her heart softened, like dry earth receiving its first rain. She brought the box to her table and read every letter inside. 36, maybe 37 in all. She realized the seeds of happiness were still there within her, buried beneath pain, but not destroyed. Reading those letters, it was as if her husband was right there again, whispering the words he once knew how to say. They had once been truly happy. They had once touched something real and beautiful together. So why were they now living like strangers, like prisoners in their own home? She had forgotten that he had once spoken to her with such love. But now, holding those letters, she remembered. He had once been capable of speaking with such tenderness. And that means maybe he still is. nourishing the seeds of happiness. For over an hour, she sat quietly reading through old letters, and in doing so, she was watering the seeds of happiness within herself. As she read, she came to see something clearly. Both she and her husband had been unskillful. They had been feeding each other suffering instead of nurturing the joy they once shared. They had forgotten how to tend to the garden of love. After finishing all the letters, she made a decision. She would write to her husband. She would let him know how happy she had once been, back in the early days of their love. She would tell him that she longed to touch that happiness again. And now, with a heart awakened, she found herself able to begin her letter with the words, "My beloved," spoken with genuine tenderness. She took 45 minutes to write the letter. It was a true love letter, addressed to the young man who had once written her those beautiful words, now preserved in a biscuit tin. And though she didn't realize it at the time, she was practicing meditation the entire time. Reading, reflecting, writing. Nearly 3 hours passed in this quiet contemplation, and by the time she finished, her heart felt light and renewed. Even though the letter had not yet been sent, even though he had not yet read it, she already felt a deep sense of ease. The seeds of joy and understanding in her had been awakened. Later that day, she brought the letter upstairs and placed it gently on his desk. Throughout the day, she remained quietly joyful, nourished by the memory and the moment. In reading those old letters and writing a new one, she touched something profound. She saw that both of them had been clumsy. Neither had known how to care for the happiness they once held. Through careless words and actions, they had slowly built a kind of personal hell, living together as husband and wife, yet without true happiness. But now, she believed that if both of them were willing to practice, even just a little, then happiness could return. Hope blossomed in her heart, softening years of sorrow. When her husband returned home and came upstairs, he found the letter waiting for him. In it, she had written, "I take responsibility for a part of our pain, for the fact that we've been living without the happiness we once deserved. Let's begin again. Let's restore communication and cultivate peace and harmony between us." He sat and read her words carefully. He took them to heart, and without even knowing it, he too was practicing meditation. As he read, the seeds of joy buried deep within him began to stir. He remained in the room for a long time, silently contemplating. Slowly, he too began to see clearly, arriving at the same insights his wife had touched the day before. And so the two of them found an opening, a new beginning, a chance to restore what was lost, not by chasing something new, but by remembering the love that was always there. These days, lovers rarely write letters to one another. A simple phone call, "Are you free tonight?" replaces the thoughtful expression of the heart. And with that, so many precious memories are lost, forgotten. Isn't it time we begin writing again? Not just to romantic partners, but to anyone we love, our parents, our children, our siblings, our dearest friends. Take the time, write down your care, your gratitude, your love. Nurture the seeds, a small miracle. There are many ways to begin again. If you find it difficult to speak with your child face-to-face, try something different. Take a day or two to practice mindful breathing, mindful walking, and then sit down and write. You might write something like this. "My dear child, I know you are suffering. I am your father, and I know that I share some responsibility. I haven't always known how to pass on what is best in me. I know it has been hard for you to express your pain, but I want that to change. I want to be someone you can count on. Let's help each other. Let's heal our communication." Learn to speak this kind of language, the language of the heart, because words of love can save us. Listening with compassion can save us. And this is the miracle of practice. It is a miracle each of us is capable of. Within every one of us lies more than enough peace, love, and understanding to restore what's broken. We must learn to trust that truth. We must call upon our true Buddha nature, the awakened presence within. With the support of friends, of Sangha, of community, we can begin again. We can rebuild. We can rediscover joy.